Welcome to the Wisdom to Wealth podcast. This is the podcast where I interview the wealthiest entrepreneurs and business owners in the world, where they get to share their journey from zero to wealth. I am your host, Shamar Star Cox, TV producer and marketing coach. My goal is to help 6 and 7 figure business owners create binge-worthy content that attracts and converts their followers into customers. I am also founder of the Convert Content to Cash Challenge, where I teach you how to create content that sells. So if you are a business owner, you are a coach, and you want to know how you can scale your business with video content, feel free to DM the word challenge accepted, whether you are on Instagram, LinkedIn, or TikTok. Today we have the wonderful Courtney Burton with us. She has built multiple 6 and 7 figure businesses, all with the foundation of helping women get outside, have more fun with their family in the outdoors, and enjoy their life more. And she's going to help you build your online empire so you can spend more time going on adventures, less time chained to your 9 to 5 or in-person office, wishing you had started. Courtney, thank you so much for joining us today. Oh, I think you're frozen. Oh, Courtney's frozen. We'll wait for her to come to unfreeze and come back to us.
Okay, can you see me?
Okay, yes, now you're moving. There you go.
Okay, good, good.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Yes, thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Absolutely. Let's just dive right into your journey. Take us on your journey from where you started to where you are now.
Oh, that is quite a journey. It's really interesting that we're having this conversation right now because just yesterday I was having a conversation with my students, with the individuals that I coach, about how important their story and sharing their story is to their business. And I just started a new series over on my Instagram, like sharing how I built the confidence to build multiple six-figure businesses because I can tell you, if you told me even 10 years ago that this was going to be my life, I would have probably laughed. I would have been like, there's no possible way. And so I think a key here, just really quickly before I dive in, is that you always overestimate what you can accomplish in a year and underestimate what you can accomplish in 10 years. I find so many people, and I'm sure you get this same thing, come to you and they're like, oh, well, I want to build this business in 6 months. I want to build this business in 1 year. And I'm like, nothing good happens overnight. And you have to be consistent and keep going. And so I'm going to take it way back. I'm going to take you way back. Do you remember when you were a little kid and you could not wait to be a grown up? Because when you were a grown up, nobody was going to tell you when to go to bed, where to be at what time, what to wear, like what to eat. I couldn't wait to be a grown up. I just kept remembering when I was a little kid being like, ugh, I want to make my own decisions. It's really funny because my 4-year-old just 2 days ago was like, Mom, why do you always tell me what to do? And I'm like, because I'm trying to help you become like a solid human being, dude. But I couldn't wait to be a grown up. And I just knew that I was going to do something that I could have my own schedule and I could, be outside on adventures all the time. Fast forward to college. I went to the College of Charleston. Shout out to any Cougars out there. And I barely graduated. So I graduated at the top of my high school class. Like beyond a 4 I we had a 4.2 GPA then, because I was taking college credits and advanced classes, and then enter college, finally being a grown up and able to make my own decisions. And I can tell you, I was not making the right decisions. I was not going to class. I was not taking my academics seriously. I had a lot of fun. I'm going to tell you, it was a good time. I like to have fun. But I barely graduated. I was waiting the morning of my college graduation to hear from a professor if I could walk the stage or not. And meanwhile, my entire family is there to see me walk the stage. And I was mortified. I was mortified. And it really shook my confidence of getting out there into the real world and applying for jobs. Right. And it shook my confidence. It shook my belief in myself. And I just kind of didn't do anything after college. And I see a lot of women, especially, get stuck in this trap of your past mistakes, letting your past mistakes dictate your future. And what you did in the past doesn't have to dictate what happens in your future. And so because I barely graduated college because I had a good time, like doesn't mean that I can't be a successful entrepreneur, but I let it for a really long time. And so I'll never forget. I was 30 years old. I mean, this is what 9 years after graduation, right? I let it dictate my life for 9 years. Never applied for the jobs I wanted because I thought that they would want to see my college transcript and I'd be embarrassed. Um, Never went after any real goals because I thought that I wouldn't be able to achieve them. And so my husband and I had moved to Colorado from the East Coast, and I was a CrossFit coach and personal trainer at the time. But really, I was a bartender and a waitress, and we were working on launching our first business, which was our adventure business. That's Wheelys and Waves. Now we've been around for almost 11 years, which is absolutely insane. Built that to a multiple six-figure business and phenomenal business. But my turning point, the moment that it clicked for me, is I was standing behind a bar wearing the uniform that I had to wear for work on somebody else's schedule. And I imagined my little girl self, little girl Courtney, walking through that door and looking at me and being like, this is it? This is it? We had all of these dreams and aspirations, and you knew you were made for more. And here you are wearing what somebody told you to wear on somebody else's schedule, not going after what you want. Your life is dictated by others. Like, it is time to break this up. And that was the moment that changed everything for me, really.
Oh my goodness. I'm just thinking about how you started this with, remember when you were a kid and you couldn't wait to grow up so you could do everything on your own time, make your own decisions, and you found yourself landed right back in the same position. How old were you? Like early 20s?
I was 30. Like
Oh,
literally, I was 30. I like let my 20s go by
mm,
thinking that I wouldn't amount to anything.
look at that. And ended up in the same position with that same mindset.
Hmm.
But I'm happy that you, in that moment, you can see that reflection. And you're like, something has to change. Right. And so there were times that we can just be stuck in this recurring story. It just keeps recurring. But we're doing all the things to move because you mentioned you got married. I think you said, did you say you had a child at that time too?
No, so I got married. My husband and I moved to Colorado.
Mhm.
So we were doing
Right.
things, right? But
Mhm.
I still felt unfulfilled.
That part.
Even though I was doing the things that I was
Mhm.
supposed to be doing,
Mhm.
it didn't feel like I was
That part.
fully owning myself.
That's the part that I love because I was in the same exact predicament where I listened to what society said to
Mm,
do, right? Go to college, get your degree, get good grades, you'll be able to get a job that pays you, you'll live the American dream, and none of that happened for me. It was actually extremely hard for me to get a job. When I finally did get a job, it wasn't because of no degree, by the way. Till
yeah.
this day, I don't get jobs because of degrees, right? And I found myself actually probably 35. At this point, I already had quit and I started my business. But it's when I started my business that I realized, oh my goodness, I have been lied to. And
Mm,
I have been operating with this lie as if this is my truth, but it's keeping me stuck. It's keeping me from getting to the next level because all I kept thinking was the only way that I can create wealth, the only way I can get wealth is to save my way to wealth in these jobs. And
no.
just a complete lie. So let me ask you this. So you had this realization, right? What was the very next step you took to manifest the life that you wanted to see?
Such a good question. So I'm sure you've heard the saying that um, in order to change, either somebody new comes into your life or something new comes from within. And truly, it was both of those things. I At the time, I looked at my husband. I was, like I said, I was 30. I looked at so we live in Colorado. I'm from the beach originally. This is how our first business started. I'm from the beach originally. We live in Colorado. I grew up as a competitive surfer. So I surfed all up and down the East Coast, and I missed being on the water. And so for my 30th birthday,
Oh no, it's getting good. We lost you a little bit, Courtney. The story was just getting good. Let's see if she comes back. So while Courtney is coming back to us, I know she'll unfreeze at any moment. I see some of you typing on Instagram, and I want you to know, what lie have you been holding on to? There you go. Okay, you
I'm
froze
back.
for a bit. There you go. Let me ask the audience this question so that you can continue
Yes.
your story. What lie have you been holding on to that keeps you stuck in a rerun? Because I felt like that's what was happening with me and Courtney. We were just stuck in this rerun until we realized it's time to get out. So if you could just write that in write that in the chat on Instagram, I'll get to read some of them out loud as Courtney shares with us the one step she took. So you stopped at you love surfing. That's what you
Yes. Yep. So I love surfing, living in Colorado. No waves here, no ocean here. And so my husband got me a stand-up paddleboard for my 30th birthday. And I went and I took a paddleboarding class. I was like, I'm going to learn how to do this correctly. And during the class, some of the people started talking about a paddleboard business and creating like a rental operation. And I came home from this weekend in Denver learning how to paddleboard with this fire in me. And I told my husband, I was like, I think we should take all of our savings. By the way, that was like $7,000. It wasn't like we had a lot of savings. I was like, I think we should take all of our money and start a paddleboard business. And he was like, okay, like, what do we have to lose here? If you truly believe in this and believe that you can do it, then let's do it. And so I truly think that that first step is investing in yourself and not being afraid to invest in yourself. And so I invested with myself in that business. And then when I wanted to move into the online space, because we started the paddleboard business, but I was still bartending, waitressing, CrossFit coaching, personal training, right? I had literally, like, my schedule, I would wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I would go to the country club here locally because I taught a group fitness class there from 6 to 7. Then I personal trained a client from 7 to 8. From 8 to 9, I would drive around town delivering paddleboards to people. From 9 to 11, I coached CrossFit. From 11 to 12, I personal trained another client. And then I would be at the gym usually from like 12 to 1. At 1:30, I would get home, answer any missed phone calls for my paddleboard business, schedule things for the next day, take a shower, and go into the bar and bartend from 3:30 till 1 in the morning. And this was my schedule. And I knew that I was building to something with my own business, but I also was like, oh, this is going to take a while. And so I went and I saw other women on social media building these businesses in the fitness realm, right? This was 2016, 2017, and running these online boot camps. And I saw this woman who was, and this is like a full circle moment, she was in Mexico for the month of January, talking about how she was still able to work and run her business and travel at the same time and earn income. And I was like, that's the dream. I want to travel to Mexico for a month and still earn income. And we actually were supposed to do this conversation in January, but I was in Mexico for the month with my family vacationing for 5 weeks, like the full circle moment. And so I truly believe that if you know that you are stuck and you're ready to get to that next level, find somebody that is where you want to be. Find somebody that has the kind of life you want to have, and then reach out to them, like whether they're a coach or not. My husband is in the real estate space, and he reaches out to people all the time that just have what he wants. And then he's like, hey, this is where I am right now. We're at, 10 properties. Like we want to get to 75 properties. What do we need to do next? What does this look like? Like reach out to people.
Oh, so good. But I love that you had the full circle moment. So we have the pivotal point in your life in your 30s where you were like, oh my goodness, this is not the life that I want. And then the pivotal point in your life where you were like, I'm actually living the life that I want. Tell us, how long did it take you to go from this is not the life that I want to this is the life that I want? And what are the skills that you learned along the way?
Can I tell you the truth? I'm still working towards the life that I want. And I think that when you stop doing that and when you get complacent, like that's where you lose the joy from your business and the joy from your life. Like if you're not growing, then you're going backwards. Like Tony Robbins says, if you're not growing, you're dying. And those are like the only two options. But I'm pretty darn close. Like I'm feeling pretty good. Yes. So I think some of the key lessons along the way. Oh my gosh, how much time do we have for this conversation? Because I have a lot.
Go share it.
Okay. So the first one was reaching out and finding a mentor that was a couple steps ahead of me, right? Like had what I wanted. She was on her way to having what I wanted. And so realizing that I didn't have to figure it out on my own to get to where I wanted to be. I think that was step one, truly, to starting everything. The next is that nugget that I gave in the very beginning, that people overestimate what they can accomplish in a year and underestimate what they can accomplish in 10 years. My husband and I sat down that summer. We'd actually gone to, or maybe we just got back. We went to a Tony Robbins event, and he has you do this exercise where you do some goal setting, right? You do yearly goals. This is a great story. You do yearly goals, like 3-year goals, 5-year goals, 10-year goals, and then like 20 plus like pie in the sky goals. And so we wrote out our goals at this event. And I just moved my coaching business online. So this was end of 2016, start of 2017. I had just moved my coaching business online. Wheelys and Waves was entering its second year in business, and we were setting up our goals. And I remember we were writing our goals, and we were at this Tony Robbins event, and everybody is like, and he has you like shout them out, right? Because when you speak your goals into existence, that's how they come to be. So everybody's like, oh my God, donate money to charity and build an orphanage and make $1 million. Like everybody's shouting out these big goals. And I still was in this kind of thinking smaller mindset. And because I kind of underestimated what I could accomplish in 1 year. And I'll never forget my first 3 big goals that I wanted to accomplish with my business. I still have my students go through this process actually, whenever they start coaching with me, because I want to know what their yearly goals are and what their big goals are too. And so I'm at this Tony Robbins event and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, I want Lululemon pants. I want hair extensions. And I'm like yelling. And my husband is like, this is what you want out of life? You want hair extensions and Lululemon pants? And I'm like, well, like, yeah, these are the things that I want to be able to afford for myself. I want to have these things. And I ended up getting them that year. It was great. Hair extensions were great. Pants were great. But what we really realized in that moment is we looked at our 10-year goals together. And in our 10-year goals, we saw a ton of travel in our future. We saw a lot of wealth coming into our future. And we saw this way of living where we weren't working 40 years for retirement, but we were living in the now. We were traveling in a camper for 6 months out of a year. We were going to Mexico for a month or Thailand for a month. And so when we saw those goals, we looked at the kinds of businesses that we wanted to have and kind of reverse engineered from there. So, like I said, at this time, we were year 1 or 2 of Wheelys and Waves, which is our brick and mortar business. And that's a seasonal business. We are open May 1st through September 31st. And that's it, right? And we've scaled it to 2 locations now. And it's a great profitable business model. We've really dialed in all of the systems to make sure that it runs smoothly. We have great managers. We have a great team. We've created an incredible workplace culture there, which I think is really important. And it's a super fun business. Like, it fits with our adventure lifestyle. And then that's when I moved my fitness business online, because I said, if I'm not personal training clients, if I'm not in person, I'm not making money. And if you have, and then I even realized further along, and that's when I started kind of my business coaching and creating my own courses, because when I was personal training and coaching people online and doing those boot camps, it still took up a lot of my time. I had my first son in April of 2020, and I'll never forget, I was laying in the hospital bed. Like, I had just had my son, and I was laying in the hospital bed, and I was responding to messages from clients for my one-on-one coaching and my group and my boot camps, right? And I was just like, something needs to change. This was great, and it's afforded me the ability to, I think a lot of people get into online businesses because they want the freedom to work from wherever. But when is working from wherever too much? Like, working in your hospital bed after having a baby, that's too much. And setting boundaries in your work-life balance, like, you have to do that at a certain point. And so that's when I really started looking into course creation and creating signature programs and helping other women take their and I say women, but I have men in my program too. But I really tend to help women take their business expertise or their coaching expertise and turn it into a signature program or mastermind that has massive scalability without taking up more hours in their day. I'm talking working 3 to 4 hours a week in their business, right, with their clients, and they can have hundreds of clients.
I love it. And even when I was looking at your bio, every sentence was like, we help you make money and live the dream life you want. We help you make money so that you can sit on the couch and do whatever you want. We help you make money so you can travel and do whatever you want. Like, it was all in your bio, and it's here in your story too. Before I comment on some of the things you were sharing, I just kind of want to shout out some of the conversations that's going on Instagram. I did ask, what was a lie that some people are what was fed and was kept them bound for too long? And weight loss coach Tamara says going to college and getting a good job was the route to financial stability. A lot of us was told that.
Yeah.
At Posting 44 says she's on her way. She said, I started class number 1 out of 3 for real estate. So she just moved into doing real estate, and she's been binging business videos on YouTube, podcasts, all of those things. And what she realized, 1, she built her confidence doing all of this. And then number 2, that building the life that she wants is hard work. And I really love that they're sharing this, because that's also what you were talking about. It is hard work, but then it's rewarding. Like, I love that you talk about the reward and just the steps to get to it, right? Like, Nat, she's like, I'm taking the classes, I'm doing, I'm watching the YouTube videos, I'm listening to the podcast. And your very first thing was like, I don't have to do this alone. Yeah. Like, I need to go and get help. And I think sometimes people, especially if they have a poverty mindset, I had a poverty mindset. So let me just talk about when I first started, I wanted to do it by myself, because who has the money to pay for this, right?
Exactly.
When I made my first sale, I had to go to God and say, Lord, I can't do this alone, right? Because my first sale was $97. That was a lot to me. I didn't know how to sell. I made $97. That was a lot. Yeah. As soon as I introduced a coach into my life, My third sale was $5,000.
Mm.
And that was in a matter of 2 months. What a quantum leap. By myself, $97. With a coach, $5,000. So when you say you don't have to do it alone, that is something that is true. Another thing that I love about your story is really building a business that is in alignment with you. Like when you said, yes, you can work from anywhere, but from the hospital bed from the hospital bed after you just gave birth,
Yeah.
like, come on
No.
now, right? So really being in alignment with the business that you want to build for your life, being able to have those breaks, knowing when to delegate, knowing when to hire people so that you can pass on what it is that you have built, not pass it on, but like have other people to help to scale it.
Yes.
You want to add?
Yeah, no, and absolutely. And I think it's like looking at that 10-year goal. So for the women that just commented and shared like their stories, like thank you so much, because I resonate with both of those. And it's hard work right now, but when you have those 10-year goals in mind and knowing that like as long as I keep going and working towards this and I don't stop, like it's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
So good. So good. And I think sometimes we can get stuck in I'm doing all this work. Let me talk about me again. I get stuck in this. I'm doing all this work, but it's not working out. I'm doing all this work, but will it work out? But you are probably the umpteenth coach or person to come on this podcast and say, when you are doing the work, it's not an if, it's a when. And it really is being prepared for that. So I absolutely love that. So share with us, for those who are listening, how can they work with you? And I'm going to drop your links in the chat while you are speaking.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can come over to my Instagram. I'm just Courtney Lynn Burton on Instagram, just my name, pretty simple. And reach out in the DMs. Let's chat. If you have an idea for a course or a signature program, or you want help with coaching, maybe you already have a course or signature program and it's not selling, I can help you with that as well. And so really, it's just if you're ready to scale from that one-to-one or from your brick and mortar business to bring it online, like let's chat because I can help you. And one last thing that I want to say, just because I think this is so important, is that because it goes back to the whole confidence thing, right? And building confidence in yourself. You build confidence by keeping the promises you make to yourself. And so 10 years ago, when I said, I want to spend a month in Mexico, it's, here I am 10 years later, that was on my goal board for 10 years. And there's no expiration date on your goals. Here I am 10 years later, and I did that with my family, right? And so just know there's no expiration date on your goals. And as you build and as you're growing, just know that you're the one that people need to learn from. Because I talk to so many individuals that are like, yeah, I want to build this course, but I see somebody else doing it. Or I want to become a coach, but somebody else is doing it. And somebody else is doing it and they look more professional than me. Or they graduated college at the top of their class, or whatever other story they have in their head. And for a long time, I did let that hold myself back because, like you might notice, I don't look like the typical 6-figure business coach. Like I wear, like you can find me in a flannel and leggings and a beanie on my head 97% of the time, unless I'm at the beach, then I'm in a trucker hat and a bikini. Like you don't have to look like every other coach online in their pink blazers and high heels. You can be exactly you and attract the dream clients into your business and life. So don't let anybody hold you back.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Now you said you don't look like, typical business owners who are at 6 figures. We can find you in leggings. And in my mind, I'm like, these are Lululemon leggings because she spoke that into existence. She spoke that into existence. I love that. So if you want to get access to Courtney, I dropped the link to her 5 comprehensive course ideas for resources. So you can go ahead and get that. It's on the screen. It's also in the chat. If you're tuning in for the replay, you'll be able to get access to it, whether you're on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Instagram. And then, of course, you can go ahead to her website, which is www.coachcourtneyburton.com/ACA. So she can get more details. If you're on Instagram, she will be added as a collaborator for this podcast. So you can just follow her right then and there. We make it really simple for that so that you can connect. And Courtney, before we wrap up, I want to ask you one final question, which is, what is that one thing that you did in your business that really helps you to shift to the next level? Whether it was a mindset shift, a skill that you added, like what is that one decision that you made that really helped you get to the next level in your business?
I mean, definitely investing in coaching and investing in my mindset. That was a huge game changer for me. And then also, I think a huge shift for me and this took me from like, a couple $1,000s a month to, those 20K, 30K months that a lot of people are looking for, is I stopped worrying about likes on social media and I started worrying more about the number in my bank account. Because if you're posting for likes and you're not posting for your bank account, then you're doing social media wrong as a business owner.
Ooh, girl, that is a whole episode that we could just
Yeah.
dive into that. I love that. Oh, so powerful. Investing in a coach and stop focusing on the likes, but focusing on the dollars that are coming into your bank account. Courtney, thank you so much for joining us today, for sharing your wisdom so that it can bless so many people who are tuning in and who will tune in later on. Thank you to everyone who joined and was engaging with us on Instagram, on YouTube, on LinkedIn. We will be back again with another episode tomorrow. We launch our podcast Mondays through Thursdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. So we'll be back again tomorrow with another powerful guest. So you can feel free to tune in. You all have a wonderful day.
Thank you.